Hi, I'm Dave Hershey, the president of OTGM Studio. This CD is about America, socialism, occultism, personalities and their statements, big band music with their lyrics, backward masking, events in U.S. history, UN, Israel, Russia, Iran. What do numbers tell us? For instance, 247, symbols, your dollar bill, and maybe even you someday. And the CD you're listening to is no coincidence. Hey, so let's start off with Three Doors Down.
But I watch the world float to the dark side of the moon. I feel there's nothing I can do. I feel there's nothing I can do.
The most viewed film ever was The Wizard of Oz. Do you believe in coincidence? When the album Dark Side of the Moon is played simultaneously with the 1939 film, numerous images from the film appear to synchronize with the music and lyrics. The band members, save Waters and the engineer Parsons, have firmly stated that the phenomena is a coincidence. Mark Phillips, a former CI, said wars are not won on the battlefield, they are won in the minds of people. Mark knows all about the Operation Paperclip and the mind control called MK Ultra. More than the book, the Wizard of Oz movie has been used for mind control. The lyrics found in Three Doors Down's music, "There is nothing I can do," portrays exactly what a KGB agent, whose name was Yuri Bezmenov, who defected in 1970 to America, said would happen. And he gave 4 stages for a Marxist government takeover. The first one was demoralize, destabilize, bring a crisis, and then claim a normalization.
But in reality, the main emphasis of the KGB is not in the area of intelligence at all. According to my opinion and opinion of many defectors of my caliber, only about 15% of time, money, and manpower is spent on espionage as such. The other 85% is a slow process which we call either ideological subversion or active measures, активные мероприятия in the language of the KGB, or psychological warfare. What it basically means is to change the perception of reality of every American to such an extent that despite of the abundance of information, no one is able to come to sensible conclusions in the interests of defending themselves, their families, their community, and their country. It's a great brainwashing process which goes very slow, and it's divided in 4 basic stages. The first one being demoralization. It takes from 15 to 20 years to demoralize a nation. Why that many years? Because this is the minimum number of years which requires to educate 1 generation of students in the country of your enemy, exposed to the ideology of the enemy. In other words, Marxism-Leninism ideology is being pumped into the soft heads of at least 3 generations of American students without being challenged or counterbalanced by the basic values of Americanism, American patriotism. Most of it is done by Americans to Americans, thanks to lack of moral standards. As I mentioned before, exposure to true information does not matter anymore. A person who was demoralized is unable to assess true information. The facts tell nothing to him. Even if I shower him with information, with authentic proof, with documents, with pictures, even if I take him by force to the Soviet Union and show him concentration camp, he will refuse to believe it until he is going to receive a kick in his fat bottom. When a military boot crashes then he will understand, but not before that. That's the tragic of the situation of demoralization. So the next stage is destabilization. This time, subverter does not care about your ideas and the patterns of your consumption. Whether you eat junk food and get fat and flabby, it doesn't matter anymore. This time, and it takes only from 2 to 5 years to destabilize a nation, what matters is essentials: economy, foreign relations, defense systems. And you can see it quite clearly that in some areas, in such sensitive areas as defense and economy. The influence of Marxist-Leninist ideas in the United States is absolutely fantastic. I could never believe it 14 years ago when I landed in this part of the world that the process will go that fast. The next stage, of course, is crisis. It may take only up to 6 weeks to bring a country to the verge of crisis. You can see it in Central America now. And after crisis, with a violent change of power, structure, and economy, you have so-called the period of normalization. It may last indefinitely. Normalization is a cynical expression borrowed from Soviet propaganda. When the Soviet tanks moved into Czechoslovakia in '68, Comrade Brezhnev said, "Now the situation in brotherly Czechoslovakia is normalized." This is what will happen in the United States if you allow all these schmucks to bring the country to crisis.
Demoralization on part came through Crowleyism. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law, under love. Crowley declared his writings should be circulated amongst the youth. He was dubbed the most wickedest man ever. To show you how wicked he was, he enticed a mistress to copulate with a he-goat. Crowley was connected to the Masonic practices. During his research into the occult, by accident he came across the royal secret of the Masonry. As a Mason, they are promised immortality. But what most lodge members don't know, 1 out of every 100 knows the royal secret. So here it is, and you're about ready to find out. Immortality comes through sex magic of a little child. Crowley bragged he vampirized 150 white boys in 1 year. Crowley was genius. He could play 8 games of chess at once, blindfolded. Because of his chess abilities, he was dubbed the Wizard of Oz. Ain't that something? Crowley changed his first name to Aleister Crowley so that it would add up to, in the English, to 666. 2 sick puppies that came in contact with the beast. First was Ron Hubbard, the founder of Scientology. Ron, in the Journal of Scientology, issue 18, 1952, said, the only way you can control people is to lie to them. Ron called Aleister Crowley his very good friend.
The magic cults of the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th centuries in the Middle East were fascinating. The only modern work that has anything to do with them is Trifle Wild in Spots, but it's fascinating work in itself, and that's work written by Aleister Crowley, the late Aleister Crowley, my very good friend. And The Beast, The Mark of the Beast, 666.
The next of many more was Timothy Leary. Leary believed he was handed the mantle.
I've been an admirer of Aleister Crowley. I think that I'm carrying on much of the work that he started over 100 years ago, and I think the 60s themselves. You know, Crowley said, finding your own self and do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law, under love. It was a very powerful statement. I'm sorry he isn't around now to appreciate the glories that he started.
Now Leary dubbed Lennon and the other 3 as the 4 evangelists. In fact, the group wrote a song called Come Together as a campaign song for Leary, which was turn on, tune in, drop out, later on to take over. And you're going to hear that in the Doors music later on. But did you catch what Leary said at the end of his statement? It's too bad Crowley isn't here to see the glories he started. Yeah, just only 400,000 children molested and or killed in America, half that many in England. And then we have groups that are out here even today promoting Crowleyism. The Beatles with Sgt. Pepper's on their album honored Crowley. David Bowie referred to AC in a song called Quicksand. The album was called The Man Who Sold the World. Ozzy Osbourne called Crowley a phenomenon of his time.